So what's up, ladies and gents? Hopefully you're all doing well. We're not doing too good today. We've all, well, I think we've all got COVID. To be honest, I will be the first to admit that COVID sucks. And I don't think I would be the last one to admit that, that COVID sucks. I think, the problem is these days is that people think there are some people do think COVID, has gone away now, but COVID hasn't really gone away. It's still there. It's still around. Um, Obviously, I've had it. Well, I think I've got it for a second time. My mum's had it 3 times. Thankfully, this time she's not got it as bad as what she had as she had it before. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a crazy situation. I mean, obviously, all I'm gonna say is just, be careful when you're out and about. Make sure that you're wearing face masks, things like that, because it's probably best to make sure that you're wearing them. It kind of lessens the risk, I guess. And I guess it's just important to be on the safe side. It's obviously, with COVID and things like that. Yeah, yeah. That's what I don't say. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I really hate COVID. Because the thing is with COVID, is it really kind of rears its head at a time when you don't want it to. It really kind of, it really does, and it really, you really do find it frustrating. The fact is, obviously, it does rear its head at a time when you don't necessarily want it to. But yeah, it's just a crazy situation. I'm not trying to be negative here with this, but I think, you just have to be careful, when you're out and about, COVID is never gonna go away. It's not just one of those things that's gonna disappear, it's always gonna be there. The thing that I think pisses me off these days is that, it's the fact that people keep, spitting and, often splattering everywhere, spitting everywhere, it's not, it's not right for people to be, not really nice, for people to be spitting everywhere. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be overly negative about this, but I guess, so I guess you have to say, well, what it is, you have to make, this has to be said, people need to be, obviously I'm not saying that people need to go back to wearing, face masks and things like that when they're out and about, but just be careful, that's the best you can do, don't, the best thing I can say is, make sure you have in your mouth and, often you sneeze and, make sure that, you're not spitting on the floor, not spitting on the pavements and everywhere where people have to walk. There's a lot of reasons why COVID hasn't gone away, but those are the main 2 reasons, for why COVID hasn't gone away. I think, it's one of those things we kind of had to learn to live with. I remember the first time I had COVID, which was last year. It was a funny day that day, because I was at college that day. And it was a Thursday. I'd gone into, I'd woken up that day. I wasn't feeling 100% that day, but I wasn't feeling ill to the point where I had to stay at college. Like, I felt well enough to go into college. But as the day kind of went on, I felt myself becoming like more and more unwell, and it was like by the afternoon, by sort of mid-afternoon, I felt really kind of unwell, and I was on a portering rotation that day, and I was doing the postal run in the afternoon, and like, I barely had the energy. I barely had the energy to do that postal run in the afternoon. But obviously, and then when I went home, I done we done COVID test, it came back negative. And then the next day, my mum did another COVID test the next day, and it came back positive. And then my mum got it a week later, and it knocked her out completely. She was in bed for quite a while. Like, she was so ill, she couldn't get out of bed. But with me, when I had COVID the first time, it made me feel really, really tired. Like, I just had no energy in me whatsoever. COVID is one of those things that does really kind of take all that energy out of you. It really does knock you out. It can knock you out. And the thing is, and it's like with COVID, it's one of those things where everybody's affected differently by it. Some people have had certain symptoms, other people have had other symptoms. And yeah, it's just crazy, But I'm not saying that, obviously, as I said, I'm not saying that people need to go back to wearing face masks again. But just be careful, I guess. Just make sure you're taking the right precautions. Don't, if you feel ill or anything, stay indoors. Not go out and about. But this is the thing, like, some people still go out and about even if they're ill. When realistically they probably should be staying indoors. I know that probably does sound a wee bit negative, but, I think anybody would have common sense would stay indoors if they were unwell, and they wouldn't necessarily go out if they were, actually ill. Is it like, why would you want to go out if you were ill anyway? It's better to stay indoors, and make it until you feel better, really, at the end of the day. Obviously, these days, I think people's attitudes towards COVID are very different. Like, it's not that big a deal. It's not as big of a deal as it was, a few years ago, whatever. Like, times have changed. People have accepted that. I think that's the thing now. It's like people have accepted that COVID is never going away. It's one of those things that we just have to learn to live with. Although it's a hard thing to live with, you just have to learn to live with it. How many people are there that can say that they've never had COVID up until this point? And I think a lot of people can say that and now say that they've had COVID at least once. If not, some people are unlucky enough to have it twice. If you're unlucky, as my mum is, you'll have it about 3 times. And this is the 3rd time my mum's had it. It's not the first time, and but at least this time she's not as ill as she was before. I will say that, it's good to see her, see that, at least she's not ill, and as ill as she was before, if you know what I mean. I do think that, you just have to go with the flow, I guess, and, COVID is one of those things that, although it's a pain in the arse, if you take the right precautions, you can go, it will go quite quickly. I mean, right now with me, the only sort of symptoms I've got is I'm feeling it a bit on my chest. Like I'm not, like my breathing isn't too bad, but when I cough, it does hurt my chest a little bit. I've got a bit of a sore throat today as well. Which as you will have noticed, my voice isn't as as clear as it usually is, and as my throat's a bit sore today, so my voice is not great. Like, it's not as painful as it was when I first woke up, that sort of thing. Well, not like, one of the things I tend to find, quite good when I'm ill is a bowl of soup. I think a bowl of soup really does a lot of people good when you're ill. Like, that's one of the things we always used to have, I think, when we were younger. Me and my sister, when we were younger. When we were ill, we always used to have soup. And I still do now. Even when I'm ill, I still have a bowl of soup. Because I think, as it does you good, But yeah, as I said, just be careful. Make sure you're taking the right precautions. If you're ill, stay indoors. Don't go out. And yeah, just have a good day. And I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye.